Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. My contribution borders on something that Professor Tomori mentioned in passing, which is we have lost value. And I think that one major problem we're having in the health system is the attitude of health workers. I'm a doctor. I was a unionist as well. But at the time, I know that while I was in service, salaries may have been increased about 4 times for us as medical practitioners. And I've had cause to ask my colleagues, have we increased our productivity by any single fold? There is need for us to confront this issue. I'm glad, sir, Executive Governor of Rivers State, that you went into the hospitals and realized that many patients were not coming. But one of the things we sell when we demand more money is that we have a heavy workload. The fact is, let us stop faith-based interventions and have evidence-based interventions. How many people do we really see? I know this is a very touchy issue, but it's important for us to begin to work on the software of attitude of health workers. We need to make the patients know that they are kings. We need to treat the patients with respect, and then we can assess real processes and real productivity. But other than that, we can't make much progress.
Thank you. Any other person? Any other? Yes, Governor of Nasarawa State. Who's got the microphone? Okay, thank you. There has to be someone taking the microphone around.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make an observation with regard to this very important topic. It appears to me there is some kind of paradox in the health system, especially in the primary healthcare system that we have across the country. Why I say paradox is because while we are increasing the infrastructures, building hospitals, buying equipment, I think to a large extent we are oblivious of the fact that there is great inadequacy in terms of human resources. For instance, in my state, we have close to about 700 primary healthcare development agencies or centers. And out of these 700, only about 400 have effective professional staff to be able to man such centers. My observation is, while we are trying our best to provide these infrastructures, we should look at it pari passu with the provision of manpower by fully and rigorously pursuing increase in nurses and midwives. Sometimes I used to be told that there has to be certain accreditation or something like that. But I think there should be a concerted effort by governors and all people, stakeholders in the health sector, to convince the Nursing Council of Nigeria to allow for each state to have enough recruitment for nurses and midwives. Unless that is done, a lot of the infrastructures we are providing will just go empty without people to man them. That's my observation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think I would take one more. Maybe we need, if we can be gender friendly. Any lead contribute? I think it's a very topical issue. I think one of your commissioners, maybe any contribution? Last comment, yes, thank you. Your Commissioner for Water, yes?
Yes, Commissioner for Water. Your Excellency, let me just lend my voice to Governor Fashola's comment on water and sanitation. Without water and sanitation, we won't be able to reduce the disease burden. There's proven evidence to show that if we invest in water, we can reduce the disease burden by 30%. But if we invest in sanitation, we can increase that to about 60%. And Nigeria is not on track at all when it comes to meeting the MDGs for water, which is just halving the number of people with access to clean water, where I don't think any state has gotten even close to meeting the MDGs. For sanitation, we're even worse. I think Nigeria is about 30% in trying to reach sanitation. So if we don't address the sanitation and water issues, we will never achieve our goal for health. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I would want to thank our presenters, Professor Ulabi and Professor Tomori, on their paper, raising the issues on the inability that to penetrate the communities, the accessibility and the primary care policies, the need for both the community workers and also the community itself to work together, and showing the example on polio. And I think the examples given by Governor of Ogun State, Governor of Lagos, and the key point raised by the chairman of saying that with all these things, what have we been able to talk about the usage? And I think the doctor did make a very key point that we must have a mechanism in place by which must be able to assess the evidence of this intervention. There must be better probably medical records. There must be a system of medical records where we can be on top of us to be able to know exactly how these facilities are being utilized in the rural areas particularly. And also, how do we engage the workers? And as good point said by the Governor of Rivers State, majority of the doctors, do we have any policies or incentives that keep them in the rural areas, keep them engaged in those rural areas? Because that is also part of the confidence building. I don't think a community, the fact that they have doctors there on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and because the doctor sees that there's no traffic, he lives there, and I think that's part of the issues also that makes the majority of our citizens not to have a great buy-in. I want to thank all those who have contributed to this discussion, and I think this session, when this session now and after lunch will be the next session, which is to deal with youth employment. Once again, I thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much.